Kwame wiped grease from his hands and turned on the old radio he just bought. He had just returned from fixing a bus near the Kumasi roundabout, the same bus that just dropped him in front of his workshop, sweat still glistening on his forehead. A sharp voice crackled through the static. Breaking news!
Blue Nissan bus registration ZR342KMA has crashed near Kumasi roundabout. Several feared dead.
Kwame froze. That was the exact bus that just dropped him only 10 minutes ago, and the driver was heading home. The street outside was still quiet. No sirens, no crash. Then, 1 hour later, the screaming began. It all began in the heart of Kumasi, where the red dust rises with every passing car. There lived a man named Kwame Mensah. He was a quiet mechanic, tall, strong, with grease always shining on his hands. Kwame had no wife, no children, and no close family left. His workshop was his only companion, a small wooden shed filled with broken car parts, old tires, and rusted tools. Every morning, Kwame would sweep his workshop, wipe the oil stains from his table, and hum an old tune that his father used to sing. Work well today, for tomorrow may never come. But even though he sang about tomorrow, Kwame never really thought about the future. He just fixed cars, earned a little money, and went home to his single-room house behind the market. Then, one Friday, everything changed. That afternoon, Kwame walked through the Kejetia scrap market looking for an old car battery to buy. The market was alive with noise. People shouting prices, metal clanging, the smell of iron and diesel mixing in the air. As he passed one corner, something caught his eye. An old, dusty transistor radio lying among broken wires and engine parts. The seller, an elderly man with missing teeth, said, "Hey, my brother, that radio is not ordinary. It may be old, but when it speaks, even the wind listens." Kwame laughed. "Baba, I just want something to keep me company while I work. How much?" 10 cedis, the man said, smiling strangely. Kwame paid, took the radio, and returned to his workshop. That night, under the dim yellow light of his lamp, he cleaned it carefully, fixed the loose wires, and polished the knobs until it looked new again. When he switched it on, the static crackled softly and a smooth male voice came through. "Good evening, Kumasi. Here is the latest news." Kwame smiled. "Ha, it works. At least I have something to listen to while fixing cars." He didn't know that from that night, his life would never be the same. The next morning, as Kwame walked on a customer's taxi, the radio spoke again. "Breaking news, a bus traveling from Kumasi to Accra has crashed near Concord. Many injured." Kwame frowned. What kind of radio is this? It's not even 7 a.m. and the newsman is already talking about accidents. He brushed it off and continued working. But later that day, when he went to eat fufu at his favorite joint, he overheard 2 men talking. "Did you hear? A bus from Kumasi crashed near Concord this afternoon. Many people dead." Kwame froze. He had heard that exact story hours earlier, before it happened. He went home disturbed. He stared at the radio for a long time before turning it off. But curiosity is like a drum beat. It grows louder the more you try to ignore it. The next morning, he turned the radio on again. "Breaking news. Fire destroys 3 houses in Bantama." Kwame ran outside immediately. There was no smoke in the sky. He laughed nervously and muttered, "Maybe the radio is playing old news." But by afternoon, the streets were filled with screams. Thick smoke rose from Bantama. 3 houses were burning. The next day, he tried to tell his friend, Kofi, a taxi driver, "My radio speaks of tomorrow's news. It's real." Kofi laughed until tears rolled down his cheeks. "Kwame, maybe you need to rest. Too much oil in your head." No one believed him, but every day the radio spoke, and every day its words came true. Floods, robberies, a school collapse. Everything it said became reality within 24 hours. At first, Kwame thought he could use the radio for good. He began warning people quietly. "Don't travel tomorrow," he told one bus driver. The man laughed. The bus crashed that day. "Close your shop early today," he told a woman selling cloth. She obeyed. That night, a fire burned her street. Soon, people in the area began whispering about him. "That mechanic knows things. He speaks before it happens." Some feared him, others respected him. But Kwame's heart was not proud. It was heavy. Every time he saved one person, the radio would speak again, louder, as if angry that he had interfered. And one night, the voice changed. It no longer sounded like a normal newsman. It sounded deeper, colder, like an echo inside a cave. That evening, rain clouds gathered above Kumasi. Kwame stayed late at the workshop, lying under a bus he was repairing. He had been welding the rusted joints beneath the engine, the blue sparks lighting up the darkness like fireflies. To keep himself company, he switched on his old radio, the same one that never stayed quiet for long. Static filled the air. Then the voice returned. "Breaking news. A local mechanic has died in a workshop explosion this evening. Victim identified as Kwame Mensah." Kwame froze under the car. The welding torch slipped from his grip and hit the ground with a hiss. No, not me, not tonight," he whispered. The voice grew louder, echoing through the small workshop, bouncing off the walls. "Breaking news. A local mechanic has died in a workshop explosion." His hands trembled. Sweat ran down his face. He stretched one arm toward the radio, trying to shut it off, but his fingers barely brushed the knob. The welding torch was still burning beneath the bus. He had forgotten to switch it off. "Stop talking," he shouted, twisting harder. At last, the radio went silent. For a moment, there was only the hum of the fluorescent light above him. Then, a faint crackle, a hiss, smoke. Kwame turned his head and saw a thin line of gray rising from under the bus, where the welding torch was still burning close to a patch of spilled fuel. No. He grabbed a wet rag from the floor and hurriedly crawled back under the bus. But as he lifted the rag, the glow had already turned to flame, crawling fast across the metal like a living thing. And before he could take his next breath, boom! The fire swallowed everything: tools, car, and man. At dawn, the people of Kumasi gathered outside the blackened workshop. The air smelt of smoke and burnt metal. Nothing was left, only ashes and twisted tools. In the center of the rubble lay the metal frame of the radio, untouched by fire, waiting for its next victim. The people buried what was left of Kwame under the big mango tree near his workshop. No one ever touched the radio again. Kwame thought that knowing tomorrow would help him change it. But some knowledge is too heavy for human hands. The elders say, even the sun does not rise before its time. The story of Kwame reminds us that life is not about knowing the future, but about using today wisely. Don't waste your time fearing what is coming. Don't live chasing what you cannot control, because in the end, it is not the future that destroys us. it is our fear of it. Moral lesson: do your best, the rest is God's hand. Time will speak when time is due. What's meant for you will come to you.